Hi, welcome back to the Cornelia Unravels knitting podcast. This is bonus episode 1 or Vlogmas Episode One. Hopefully one of at least 2 or maybe 3 episodes that I'm going to upload in the lead up to Christmas as I open my yarn countdown calendars and show you what I've been up to through the month of December. I have quickly realized that I am not a vlogger, so taking little clips of what I'm doing in the day-to-day, I'm just not very good at remembering to do it. So I've got a few things that I'm going to talk to you about today. If I remember for my next episode, I will try and put a few little clips in showing you what I've been up to. I do have some saved to my camera, but I feel like I need a couple more before I put them together. And yeah, we'll just kind of see where this goes. I thought it would be a little bit of fun to record something extra and show you something extra in our festive month. So my name is Cornelia. I live in Melbourne, Australia with my husband, my 6-month-old baby, my dog Watson, my cat Susie, and my cat Jemima. So the aim of this was to be a kind of one-take situation. But I already have had a mind blank as to what I was going to talk about first. So there may be a few bits and pieces that are cut out as I work on this, because I have a feeling this might be a continued theme as we carry on through, but that's okay. We'll just see what we can do and I will just do my best. So the first thing I wanted to do was show you the advent calendars that I have purchased, or holiday countdown calendars, yarny things that I have been opening so far. I have got 2 this year. One is one that I have dyed myself. It was a surprise for my mum, for her to have one to open, and as I was working on making that one for her, I thought it's just as easy to put 2 mini skeins in the pot as it is one, and I have made myself a matching one as well. So I have been calling her. She lives in New Zealand, for those of you who might not know, and we have been opening them together each day, so that's been lots of fun. And I've also been opening my second one that I purchased from Artemis Yarns. So the first one that I'll talk about, since it's in the bag here, is my Artemis Yarns advent calendar. Now this is a yarn dyer who's based in France. I purchased her calendar last year as well, and I really liked it. It was a fade, and this year is a fade as well. So that was something that I was looking for last year, something that I deliberately wanted, something that was nice and cohesive and all went from one to the other. And I'd looked at her previous year's ones and I really liked what she did. So I got that one last year, and which I'll talk about a little bit later, and decided that I wanted this year's one as well. So I'm just grabbing the skeins out of the bag. So they came in, sorry, there we go, I think nearly all of them. So they came in this bag, which is printed with Iris Advent on it, the name of the calendar, and also the colours on it are the colours that are kind of going to be in the calendar this year. Each one is packaged in a little numbered bag like this, and it came with some stitch markers on the first day. Now they are hiding. Oh no, here they are, found them. So the first day there was these little stitch markers here, which are very cool. So there's a little star, sorry if it's a little bit shiny, a little star and 2 hearts. So that was something that I didn't expect, because last year her advent calendar had heaps and heaps of extras and they were really cool, but this time she decided to pare back a little bit, and that is totally fair enough. I was not bothered by having less extra bits and pieces in this year's one. So that's okay. The focus is on the yarn. So this is what I have so far. I'm just going to show you up to day 8. Today's obviously the 9th of December, but I thought that it would be nice to kind of split it into groups of 8. My original ideal situation was to do groups of 5, but we've got to the 9th and I haven't done anything yet. So we're going with groups of 8. So the first, here it is. I was just looking for the naming card. So the first day was this colour here, and it is called Wild Berries. The second day was this colour here, and it is called Grape Soda. The third day is this one here, and that one is called Amethyst. Just make sure I'm putting them down in the right order here so I can show you them all together. The fourth day is this one, and that one is called Blackberry Ice Cream. The fifth day is this one. So as you can see, by day 5, we kind of started to move away from the purples and started to have a little bit more blue introduced. This one is called Blueberry Cheesecake, so the name indicating that we're heading towards blue as well. Then the 6th one is this one, which is super pretty, called Lavender Clouds. Then day 7 was this one, and that one was called, oops, that one was called Periwinkle. And then the 8th day yesterday was this one, and it is called Snowflake. So this one over here is day 9, but we can show that one later on. So if we hold them up together, we can see, testing my coordination. So if we look here, oops, we can see how the fade has progressed through from purples to blues. So I think we are going to have a little bit more bluey colours before heading into, I don't know, my guess based on the bag and the colours on the bag would be going into greeny colours, but we will just have to wait and see. But it's really beautiful. At this point in time, I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. Which you'll see is a common theme with last year's Advents as well. But I will keep mulling over it and I will think about what I really want to do. The Advent did come with a pattern. It's a really lovely shawl, but I don't think I want to make it with the Advent calendar. I think I want to make the shawl with something else. I've got some Love Enemy yarn in my stash that is a fade that I would really like to use for something, and I would like to use it as a fade. So I'm thinking that I might make the shawl out of that instead, and then use this for something else. So that's the Iris Advent. And then the other Advent that we've been, well, Mum's been opening. I've been putting in a box each day to open with her, but it's the same box over and over again so that we get the opening experience together. But in actual fact, I've just got them sitting on the dining room table ready to grab the next one for the next day. But Mum has a nice packaged, every skein that I gave her is packaged inside a box that has the day that she needs to open it, and then when she pulls the skein out, it has a little tag tied to it that has the number on it as well, so then she doesn't have to keep the boxes, because I know with previous Advent calendars that we've purchased together, Mum likes to, as we I think probably all do, like to have them all lined up and keeping them in order. So I made sure that I had something to tie on so that when they were all together, it was easy to put them in the right order. And in actual fact, this morning when I was laying them out, I had to say, did I put them in the right order? Because I have a photo on my phone, but my ones aren't labelled. So these are the yarns that I have dyed in the first 8 days. Now, I wanted to come up with names, but it was too much. It was too much for me to think about what the names were going to be for each of these colorways. So hats off to yarn dyers who come up with imaginative names, like the names for the Iris Advent. They are some beautiful names of foods, names of pretty things. Very, very creative. I couldn't do that within the time frame that I had, so that's okay. We just have colors. So we started off with a kind of lavendery pinky color, moving into slightly more pink toned light color. Then we have gone into a beige. Then we went into kind of a browny purple to bridge the gap into this one here. And then we went to, just trying to make sure I grab the right one, this darker blue here. Then we went to kind of this tealy blue. And then yesterday's one was this greeny blue color here. So try and put these in my hands. So this is how this kind of gradient so far is going. Now, Mum might watch this, so I'm not going to say where it's going to next, but it will be a fun surprise for her, and it's fun for me to know. Now, we have been discussing what we're going to make with this one. I actually gave Mum the pattern for the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. It's a really lovely blanket, seems very popular at the moment, which is fantastic, amazing for her, and rightly so. It's a very, very, very nice blanket pattern, and I can't wait to make it. But Mum often has an issue that if I buy her yarn, she can't think of anything to make with it, and will often ask me, what should I make with this? So I thought, right, I'm going to give her the pattern, and then we can make this pattern. When she came over recently, we were talking about advent calendars and things like that, and she was saying that she wanted to make a crochet blanket. And anyway, long story short, we're not going to be making the Sweet Shop blanket because this time Mum did have an idea of what she wanted to make. So it's very likely that we're both going to make the Battenberg blanket. I cannot remember the name of the designer off the top of my head, but it's likely that we are going to use the modifications that Natalie of the Love and Stitches podcast, also known as Nitty Natty, we're going to make it using the modifications that she made in order to maximize the use of the 20 gram mini skeins, and she details that in some of her recent podcasts, as well as last year's podcast, because she started to make that with her advent from last year. So it's likely that that's what we're going to do with that. Mum comes over from New Zealand to see us for Christmas on the 21st, so we will be able to have a little bit of a play with what that looks like. So that will be really fun, and I am really looking forward to making that, actually. So that's my advent calendar, and yeah, I was going to kind of state the theme, but maybe I'll do that next time when Mum has opened a little bit more. Maybe she can kind of guess what my inspiration was when I was dyeing up the advent calendar and what I was thinking of. Maybe you could also guess, based on what we've opened so far, as to what my inspiration was. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is previous advent calendars and things that I have made out of advent calendars. Okay, scratch what I just said, ignore that. I will be talking about previous advent calendars in a second, but I wanted to kind of just give you a quick little project update on what I have been working on in the month of December so far and since the last podcast that I recorded. Now, sorry about my light situation. I tried to fix an issue I had last time. I don't think I've fixed it. And in doing that, I've kind of made it a bit darker. It is actually very, and you might be able to see on the windows that you can see, it's very gloomy here in Melbourne today. It's been raining all day so far. To be honest, I'm not hating it. I'm kind of enjoying the cozy feel of the day, but it isn't exactly providing the best light. So I had hoped with the window, the overhead light, and these are just pretty, really. We were going to have a reasonable light situation, but everything's kind of erring on the side of darker and yellowy. So I'm just going to go with it anyway. So if it's not the best, it's not the best, and we will try and aim for something better next time. So there's two major projects that I've been working on recently. One because I am trying to finish as a Christmas present, and one because I wanted something to work on daily, something to kind of give me a little bit of a goal, and something that felt kind of working on an advent like, even though I'm not working on this year's ones. So I'm going to show you what they are. So Mum, you can look away. You know that you're getting these, but they can be a surprise, and I will tell you when you can look again. So I have been making Mum a pair of socks. I showed you them on my last podcast. I can't remember where I was up to, but I don't think I had started the second sock. So this is the first one here. And this is the second one here. Now it's going to look a little bit funny because I am just up to the Kitchener stitching the toe together. So as you can see, these are interesting and not perfectly matching. So I'm lovingly dubbing these my Frankenstein socks because it feels like lots of pieces stuck together. But that's okay. We're just going with it. And Mum will like them anyway, and Mum will still wear them for bike riding. And this is the only bit that you will see, and that kind of nicely is the opposite of each other. So we're just running with this. I don't know what I have done. I thought that I used a 50-gram skein with one mini skein, and I thought that I was going to be fine with yarn because it's not a very tall sock, nor is it a very long sock. But it appears that I wasn't. So that's okay. We've just played some serious yarn chicken, as you can see here. I'm going to have to use a different piece of yarn to Kitchener stitch the toe together because that's not going to be enough. So these are my Frankenstein socks that are for Mum for Christmas, and they are very, very nearly finished. So they will definitely be finished for my next episode. Mum, you can look now. The second project that I've been working on is my granny stripe blanket. Now, the reason I chose to work on this is because I am using previous advent calendars, and I thought it would be nice to actually make some progress on this and kind of try and do a row a day. So this is where my light might be a bit funny because it's behind me, so it kind of shines through the blanket. But if I hold it up to me, this is what it's looking like. Now, I have started working from this kind of purpley grey stripe here and have worked up to this kind of grey purple stripe here. So that's 8 days. So this is up to date with working a row a day. I have had to do 2 rows in one day, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. I'm really enjoying it. And that's why I'm kind of excited that Mum and I have decided to do the Battenberg blanket. It's something nice to work on something different other than knitting. And it's just nice to see it coming together. I have reorganized the colors that I'm going to use. Dean helped me do that, so that I could incorporate some of the Stress Knits yarn that I showed in my previous episode that wasn't from a countdown calendar, but that I had purchased from her. So every, I guess, one repeat of the blanket using every single color once, we have organized what color is going to come next. So all I need to do is pick up the next skein, wind it into a little ball, and then off I go. So that's going really well. And the other thing that I wanted to quickly do was share what I have got previously, or what I have made previously when I have ordered advent calendars, because they're super fun to open and it's nice getting a little present every single day in the lead up to Christmas, or if you purchase a countdown calendar at other times of year. I know that people purchase them for Hanukkah, people purchase them for Halloween, people purchase them for Valentine's Day, people purchase them just because they want a little treat. Maybe they save one for their birthday and have like a little birthday countdown. Whatever it is that you purchase one for, it is really fun to have kind of that little present to open every single day, but it can be hard to think about what to make with all of these little pieces of yarn. And if you're like me, I like to try and make something that maximizes the usage of the mini skein. I don't want to have heaps of leftovers. I want to be able to use all of it. So in something like my granny stripe blanket, each skein is going to be used 3 times, so that I am hopefully going to have a large blanket with not a lot left over. So the first advent calendar that I ever purchased was from Woolenboon, and with that I made a They're No Longer Dying, but with that I made a Habitation throw. Now you're not going to be able to see the whole thing from me sitting here, but if we go from here, what I did with this one was organized it into a kind of fade gradient situation. I didn't do that, actually. Dean did that. He's the person who has the kind of eye for color in the household, more so than me. So he was the person who organized my skeins. And I used almost all of every single skein. So I modified the pattern so that I was using the whole skein and not having half of it left over. I need to go through and fix this a little bit. I've got lots of pulled threads here because it sits on the back of the couch, and then the cats run over top of it and then their claws catch and they pull it. So I need to go and fix some of those. So that's the first one that I purchased, and the first and only project that I have finished with an advent. The next 2 advents I purchased were the Stress Knits ones that are going into my granny stripe blanket. The following year, so that was not last year, the year before, so 2021. Yeah, 2021, I purchased the Happy Hank Co. advent calendar. Now she's also no longer dying, but is an Australian yarn dyer. With her yarn, I am making the Cozy Comfort Throw, which I also showed on my previous podcast. And with this one, I am using the whole skein as well. So I am changing over. It seems it's always on this side. I've got lots of little ends I need to sort out. But once I get here and I just have a little bit left over, not enough to do a full row, then I will cut it and start the new color. I prefer to start a new color on the end of the row. So obviously if I was happy to just change partway through, then I would be completely maximizing my colors, but I'm someone who prefers to just kind of start a new color at the end, especially because with some of these there's quite a bit of contrast between the colors, so I wanted it to be a little bit more seamless. So that was one of them. So that's what I've got so far. And then these are this is not in order, but these are kind of the other colours that will be added in later on. So what we've got so far is kind of the reds and peaches and blues, and then it's going to move into the yellows and the purples and the pinks with a few more reds and reddy pinks thrown in. And the other one that I purchased that year was the only year that I purchased 2, which just means a lot of yarn. Now that's in this box. I've got 2 in this box. I had initially cast on a shawl, but as I mentioned previously, wanting to maximize the use of the yarn, I figured that I was going to have quite a lot left over of some of the colors, and I wanted to use all of it. So I have frogged that. So on this side here, you can see, oopsies, I knocked over my little reindeer friend. And I'm throwing the balls everywhere. You can see what kind of the start of the fade was, with those kind of goldy, orangey, browny, pinky, warm tones that it started with, and then it moved into blues and greens. The theme that year was cozy and warm. So as a sample, here are some of the other kinds of colours that we had. So that one I'm considering making into a sweet shop blanket. So going with the fade and going from the warm tones through to the cooler tones, and then back from the cooler tones through to the warm tones, to make a square sized one. That's a consideration that I have. I have yet to actually decide if that's what I'm going to do, but it's something that I thought about recently. And then last year I purchased, as I mentioned, the Artemis Yarns advent calendar, and this one also was a fade. I might see if I can put a picture in of it all laid out, because it's not in a fade situation right now, but this one was quite heavily focused on the greens and the browns with some blues and pinks in there as well. And the theme was Ariadne, which is Greek, Roman mythology based. I did look up what the story was about, and I have forgotten what the story was about. But again, that could be a consideration for a sweet shop blanket, doing a similar thing, running through the fade and then back the other way through the fade in order to create a square version of the blanket. But I am just going to mull over that, and when something comes to me, I will work on it. If you have watched my previous episode, the Whip Parade, you will see that I have plenty of other things going for me at the moment, and that I don't really need to cast on anything new. But I really would like to work on these. I don't want purchasing excuse me. I don't want purchasing the advent calendar to just be opening the little present every day and then having a whole heap of mini skeins that I have no idea what to do with. I would really like to actually work on using them all. Initially, with this blanket here, I had the goal of finishing this before I had the next advent calendar come. I nearly achieved that goal. I think I finished it in the January of that. I think I finished it in the January after the December that I got the new advent calendar, but quite clearly we can see that I haven't achieved that goal since. So, I think that's it. I'm sorry if it's been a bit of a rushed, garbled episode. I feel like I have blabbed a little bit. I am on a slight time crunch, but regardless, I showed you what I wanted to show you. Those are the things that I've been up to in my knitting life recently, and hopefully for my next episode I will be able to kind of include some bits and pieces of what I've been doing. Maybe I'll try and video Mum and I opening our calendars together, especially after she's here. It will be easier to do it then. Hopefully put in some knitting clips or some crocheting clips, clips of bits and pieces. I got a really pretty coffee when we went out to a cafe today for brunch, and I didn't even take a photo of it. And it looked really cool. It tasted really good too. So that's where I'm at with remembering to take pretty photos and videos of things. So we'll try harder next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed kind of having a peek into my Advent countdown calendar life over the last few years. And I will see you in about 7 days for the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.